I spent 3 years being someone's safety net, always there when she needed me, invisible when she didn't. Mel would text me at midnight when Tyler was out with his friends, call me when she needed someone to listen to her problems and lean on me whenever her perfect relationship hit a rough patch. I was her emotional support system, her reliable backup plan, the guy who would drop everything to help her feel better about the man she actually wanted, like her second choice. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. What she didn't know was that her twin sister Lily had been watching this whole time. Seeing how Emma treated me like a convenience store, always available, never truly valued. While Emma was busy playing games with my heart, Lily was quietly becoming the person I should have been paying attention to all along. The irony wasn't lost on me when I finally realized that the right twin had been there the entire time. And she wasn't treating me the first time I met Emma Collins. I was hiding in the corner of Riverside University's library, cramming for my marketing midterm at 2 in the morning. She appeared like some kind of academic angel, sliding into the chair across from me with her laptop, coffee, and the kind of smile that made you forget you were supposed to be studying. Her auburn hair caught the fluorescent light as she tucked it behind her ear, and when she asked if I minded the company, I practically tripped over my words saying yes. That night turned into 4 hours of conversation about everything except our textbooks. Emma told me about her dreams of starting her own event planning business, her complicated relationship with her twin sister, and how she felt like she was always living in someone else's shadow. I told her about my plans to work at a marketing agency, my struggles with confidence, and how I'd always been better at listening than talking. When the library finally kicked us out at 6 in the morning, she programmed her number into my phone and said we should study together again sometime. For 3 weeks, we did exactly that. Emma and I became study partners, then coffee partners. Then the kind of friends who texted each other random thoughts throughout the day. I was completely captivated by her energy, the way she could make even the most mundane conversation feel important, and how she seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say. I started thinking maybe this was how real connections began, slowly and naturally, built on late-night conversations and shared laughter. Then Tyler Morrison walked into her life like he owned the place. Tyler was everything I wasn't. He played varsity baseball, drove a car his parents bought him, and had the kind of effortless confidence that made professors remember his name and girls turn their heads when he walked across campus. More importantly, he had the one thing I didn't: the ability to make Emma light up like a Christmas tree just by existing in the same room. The shift happened overnight. Our daily coffee dates became weekly check-ins. Our long text conversations turned into brief exchanges where she'd tell me about something amazing Tyler had done. Our study sessions disappeared entirely, replaced by her asking if I minded if she brought Tyler along to group hangouts. I minded, but I said I didn't because I was already learning the first rule of being someone's backup plan. Your feelings don't matter as much as their comfort. What hurt the most wasn't that Emma chose Tyler over me. What hurt was how she kept me around anyway. Like a security blanket she wasn't ready to give up. She'd still call me when Tyler was busy, still text me when she needed someone to validate her feelings, still treat me like her emotional confidant while making it crystal clear that I was never going to be anything more. I became the friend she could count on to always be available, always understanding, always willing to listen to her talk about the guy she actually wanted. I told myself I was being a good friend. I convinced myself that maybe if I was patient enough, supportive enough, always there when she needed me, she'd eventually see what was right in front of her. I became an expert at reading between the lines of her messages, looking for signs that maybe she was starting to realize Tyler wasn't as perfect as she thought. When she complained about Tyler being too focused on baseball, I listened and offered perspective. When she worried that Tyler didn't understand her ambitions, I assured her that the right person would support her dreams. When she felt insecure about their relationship, I helped her feel better about herself, while secretly hoping she'd wake up and realize I was the one who truly cared. The pattern went on for months. Emma would have amazing dates with Tyler and post about them on social media, glowing with happiness. Then she'd have doubts or arguments with Tyler and suddenly remember I existed, calling me to talk through her feelings. I became fluent in the language of being someone's emotional support system while watching them build their real life with someone else. I knew Tyler's schedule better than my own because Emma would only hang out with me when he wasn't available. I knew their relationship milestones because Emma treated me like her personal diary, sharing every detail while remaining completely oblivious to how much it hurt. My roommate Jake started calling me pathetic. He'd watch me drop everything whenever Emma texted, see me cancel plans with other friends because Emma needed someone to talk to, and shake his head at how obvious it was that I was being used. But I defended Emma every time, insisting that she wasn't manipulating me, that she genuinely valued our friendship, that I was choosing to be there for her because that's what friends do. The truth was more complicated. I was addicted to the moments when Emma needed me, when I was the person she turned to for comfort and understanding. Those brief instances when I felt important to her were like drugs, keeping me hooked on a situation that was slowly destroying my self-respect. I started measuring my worth by how quickly I could make Emma feel better, how perfectly I could say exactly what she needed to hear, how available I could be whenever she called. I stopped pursuing other relationships because no one else seemed as interesting as Emma. I stopped investing in friendships that didn't revolve around helping someone else solve their problems. I became so focused on being Emma's perfect backup plan that I forgot to have a life of my own. My entire existence revolved around being ready at a moment's notice to provide emotional support for a woman who was building her future with someone else. The worst part was that Emma genuinely seemed to think this arrangement was normal. She'd thank me for being such a good friend, tell me how much she appreciated having someone she could always count on, and express genuine confusion when Jake or other friends suggested that maybe our dynamic wasn't healthy. In her mind, she was lucky to have found someone so understanding and supportive. She never considered that maybe her backup plan had feelings, dreams, and needs that extended beyond being her personal emotional support system. Looking back, I can see how perfectly I'd trained myself to be the ideal backup plan. I was always available, but never demanding, always supportive, but never critical, always understanding, but never honest about my own feelings. I'd become so good at being what Emma needed that I'd completely lost sight of what I needed. I was living my life in the margins of someone else's story, convinced that being essential to her emotional well-being was the same thing as being important to her heart. What I didn't realize yet was that someone had been watching this entire pathetic performance unfold. Someone who understood exactly what was happening and felt genuinely sorry for how I was allowing myself to be treated. Emma's twin sister Lily had been observing from the sidelines, seeing things that I was too blind to notice, and slowly forming opinions about both her sister's behavior and my complete lack of self-respect. The moment that changed everything happened on a rainy Thursday evening in November. I was working late at the downtown marketing agency, where I'd landed my first real job after graduation, trying to finish a campaign proposal that was due the next morning. My phone buzzed with Emma's name on the screen, and like a trained dog, I immediately answered. "Ryan, thank God you picked up." Her voice was shaky, clearly upset. "I really need to talk to someone right now. Tyler and I just had this huge fight, and I don't know what to think anymore." I glanced at my computer screen, knowing I had at least 3 more hours of work ahead of me, then closed my laptop anyway. "What happened? Are you okay? Can you meet me at Twin Pines Caf? I know it's late, but I really can't be alone right now." 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from Emma in our usual corner booth, watching her stir her latte with trembling hands while she recounted the evening's drama. Tyler had apparently forgotten about a dinner they'd planned weeks ago, choosing instead to go out with his baseball teammates to celebrate some minor victory. When Emma confronted him about it, he dismissed her feelings as needy and suggested she was being too clingy. He said I should be more independent, like I should just be okay with him forgetting about me whenever something more interesting comes along. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Am I being unreasonable, Ryan? Am I asking for too much?" I reached across the table and squeezed her hand, feeling that familiar surge of protectiveness mixed with hope. Maybe this was finally the moment when Emma would realize that Tyler wasn't the right person for her. "You're not unreasonable at all. You deserve someone who prioritizes you, who remembers the things that matter to you." That's exactly what I thought. Emma nodded eagerly. You always know exactly what to say. You understand me in a way that Tyler never has. My heart started racing. This felt different from our usual conversations. Emma was looking at me with genuine appreciation, really seeing me for maybe the first time. Emma, I need to tell you something. I've been waiting for the right moment, but maybe there's never going to be a perfect time. She tilted her head, curious. What is it? I care about you, more than just as a friend. I have for a long time now, and watching you with Tyler. Seeing how he treats you like you're not important. I took a deep breath. I think we could be really good together. I think I could make you happy in ways that he obviously can't. Emma's expression shifted, and I watched her carefully construct the gentle letdown that I should have seen coming. Ryan, you're such an amazing friend. Honestly, don't know what I'd do without you. But Tyler and I, we're just going through a rough patch. All couples fight sometimes. But you just said he doesn't understand you. He doesn't, not always. But that doesn't mean we should give up. Relationships take work, right? Emma's voice had that tone people use when they're trying to convince themselves of something. Besides, you and I have such a good friendship. Wouldn't want to risk ruining that. There it was. Okay, the classic backup plan response. I was too valuable as her emotional support system to risk promoting me to actual romantic interest. Better to keep me safely in the friend zone where I could continue providing all the understanding and validation she needed without any of the complications that come with actual commitment. So what happens now? I asked, already knowing the answer. Now I go home and try to work things out with Tyler. And I'm so grateful that I have you to help me figure out how to do that. I paid for both our coffees and walked Emma to her car, watching her drive away to go fix her relationship with the guy who'd stood her up. I sat in my own car for 20 minutes, finally allowing myself to feel the full weight of how completely I'd been relegated to supporting character in Emma's love story. The next morning, Emma texted me bright and early. Tyler brought me flowers and apologized. We're going to try harder to communicate.
Thank you for helping me work through everything.
Last night, you're the best friend a girl could ask for. I stared at that message for a long time, realizing that I'd essentially provided free relationship counseling to help Emma fix her problems with another man. I'd opened my heart, been completely vulnerable, and she'd used my feelings as a stepping stone to get back to Tyler. The worst part was that she genuinely seemed to think this was a positive outcome for everyone involved. That weekend, Emma invited me to a group hangout at the Loft, the trendy bar where our college friend group still met occasionally. Gosh, she wanted to show off how well she and Tyler were doing after their big fight, and apparently she needed her emotional support friend there to witness her happiness. I almost didn't go. Jake had been increasingly vocal about how pathetic my situation with Emma had become, and the idea of spending an evening watching her be affectionate with Tyler while she occasionally included me in conversations felt like torture. But Emma had called personally to make sure I'd be there, saying the group wasn't the same without me, and I was still too well trained in being her reliable backup plan to say no. The evening was exactly as awful as I'd expected. Emma and Tyler were all over each other, clearly making a point of showing everyone how solid their relationship was. Emma kept catching my eye across the table, giving me those meaningful looks. That said, see, everything worked out perfectly thanks to your advice. Tyler was more dismissive of me than usual, probably sensing that I represented some kind of threat, even though Emma had made it crystal clear that I wasn't. About halfway through the evening, I noticed someone else at our table who seemed as uncomfortable with the Emma and Tyler show as I was. Lily Collins had always been the quieter twin, the one who observed more than she spoke. And tonight she was watching her sister's performance with barely concealed disapproval. Lily and Emma were identical in terms of physical features, but their personalities couldn't have been more different. Where Emma was energetic and attention-seeking, Lily was thoughtful and reserved. Where Emma needed constant validation, Lily was self-assured in a quiet way. Where Emma treated relationships like dramatic productions, Lily approached people with genuine interest and respect. I'd never paid much attention to Lily before, mostly because Emma's personality was so much louder and more demanding. But tonight, I found myself noticing how she rolled her eyes when Emma made a big show of feeding Tyler French fries. How she looked genuinely embarrassed when Emma loudly proclaimed that Tyler was the most amazing boyfriend in the world. How she kept glancing at me with what looked like sympathy. When Emma and Tyler got up to dance to some song that apparently had special meaning for their relationship, Lily slid into the seat next to me. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," she said quietly. "That obvious?" "Only to someone who's been watching this train wreck from the beginning." Lily took a sip of her drink. "Can I ask you something, Ryan? What exactly do you get out of this arrangement with my sister?" I was startled by her directness. "Do you mean? You've been Emma's personal therapist for over a year now. You drop everything whenever she needs emotional support. You listen to her complain about Tyler for hours. You give her advice on how to improve her relationship with another man. What are you getting in return?" I opened my mouth to give her the standard answer about friendship and caring about people, but Lily's steady gaze made the words die in my throat. "I don't know anymore." "Emma's not a bad person," Lily continued, "but she's incredibly selfish when it comes to attention. She's so focused on getting what she needs from people that she never stops to consider what she might be taking from them. She doesn't mean to be selfish, doesn't she?" Lily raised an eyebrow. "Ryan, Emma knows exactly how you feel about her. She's known for months. She keeps you around because you make her feel good about herself, because you're always available to validate her feelings and boost her ego when Tyler doesn't give her enough attention." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. She's using you, and she knows it. The words hit me like a physical blow because deep down I knew Lily was right. Emma wasn't some clueless innocent who couldn't tell that I had feelings for her. She was a smart, perceptive person who had absolutely figured out that I was in love with her and had made a conscious choice to take advantage of that fact while giving me just enough hope to keep me invested. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Lily was quiet for a moment, watching Emma and Tyler on the dance floor. "'Cause someone should. 'Cause you deserve better than being someone's emotional convenience store. And because watching my sister treat you like this makes me ashamed to be related to her." When Emma and Tyler returned to the table, glowing with happiness and expecting everyone to celebrate their perfect relationship, I made my excuses and left early. For the first time in over a year, I didn't wait around to see if Emma needed anything else from me. I just walked away, and it felt like the first honest thing I'd done in months. Walking away from the loft that night felt like stepping out of a fog I didn't realize I'd been living in. For the first time in months, I went straight home instead of staying available in case Emma needed to process her evening or wanted someone to validate how perfect her relationship was. Jake was watching television when I came through the door, and he took one look at my face and muted the volume. Let me guess. Emma and Tyler put on their usual show, and you sat there pretending to be happy for them while dying inside. Something like that. I collapsed onto the couch next to him. Lily said something tonight that I can't stop thinking about. "Lily, I didn't know you even talked to the other twin." "I don't, usually. But she told me that Emma knows exactly how I feel about her and has been using that knowledge to keep me around as her personal emotional support system." Jake turned to face me fully. "And you're just now figuring this out?" I thought maybe Emma was just oblivious, like maybe she genuinely didn't realize that I had feelings for her. "Dude, Helen Keller could have figured out that you're in love with Emma. You reorganize your entire schedule around her moods. You've been doing it for over a year." The truth of that statement settled over me like a weight. I had been organizing my life around Emma's emotional needs, dropping everything whenever she needed someone to talk to, canceling my own plans to be available for her crises. I'd convinced myself that this was what love looked like, but really it was just what being used looked like when you're too desperate to admit it. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Hope you're feeling okay. You seemed a little off tonight. Let me know if you want to talk tomorrow." I stared at the message, seeing it clearly for what it was for the first time. Emma wasn't checking on me because she was genuinely concerned about my well-being. She was making sure her emotional support system was still functional and available for the next time she needed it. I turned my phone face down on the coffee table without responding. The next few days were strange and liberating. I didn't immediately answer Emma's texts. I didn't call her back right away when she left voicemails. Went to work, came home, hung out with Jake, and tried to remember what my life had been like before it revolved entirely around Emma's relationship problems. On Wednesday, Emma started getting more persistent. She called twice during my lunch break, then texted asking if everything was okay between us. When I finally called her back, that evening she sounded genuinely confused by my lack of immediate availability. "Ryan, I was starting to worry about you. You haven't been responding to my messages like usual. I've been busy with work. What's going on?" "Well, Tyler and I had another argument yesterday, and I really needed someone to talk through it. I kept calling you, but you didn't pick up." There it was. Emma hadn't been worried about me at all. She'd been worried about not having access to her emotional support services when she needed them. What was the argument about? Tyler thinks I'm too dependent on other people for emotional support. He says I should learn to handle my own problems instead of always calling friends every time we have a disagreement. The irony was so thick, I almost laughed out loud. Tyler had unknowingly identified exactly what was wrong with Emma's approach to relationships. She was calling me to help her figure out how to defend her right to keep doing it. "Maybe Tyler has a point," I said carefully. "What do you mean?" "Maybe you should try working through relationship problems with Tyler directly instead of calling other people to process them for you." There was a long pause. "Ryan, you're being really weird. You always help me figure out how to handle things with Tyler. That's what friends do. Is it, though? Or is that what emotional support systems do?" "I don't understand what you're trying to say." "I'm saying that maybe I've been enabling you to avoid actually dealing with your relationship issues by always being available to make you feel better about them instead." Emma's voice got smaller. "Are you saying you don't want to be my friend anymore?" "I'm saying that I need some space to figure out what kind of friend I want to be." After I hung up, I felt simultaneously guilty and relieved. Guilty because Emma had sounded genuinely hurt, and relieved because I'd finally said something honest instead of just telling her what she wanted to hear. The guilt lasted until Friday, when I ran into Lily at a coffee shop near my office. Was sitting alone at a small table by the window, reading a book and drinking what looked like green tea. I almost didn't approach her. But something about the way she'd been direct with me at the loft made me curious about what other truths she might be willing to share. "Mind if I sit down?" Lily looked up and smiled, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. "Please. I was hoping I'd run into you somewhere." "Why?" "Because I wanted to apologize for what I said the other night. I was probably too harsh about Emma." "Were you, though?" I sat down and studied her face. "Because I've been thinking about it, and I think you were right." "About Emma using you? About all of it? About me letting myself be used? About Emma knowing exactly what she was doing? About the whole situation being unhealthy for everyone involved?" Lily closed her book and gave me her full attention. "How are you feeling about that realization?" "Confused, mostly?" "And angry. But also kind of relieved that someone finally said it out loud." "Emma called me yesterday," Lily said quietly. "She's upset that you've been distant lately. She wanted me to ask you what was wrong." "She sent her sister to check on her emotional support system?" "Essentially, yes." Lily's expression was apologetic but honest. "She doesn't understand why you're suddenly not available whenever she needs to talk. She genuinely seems to think that being her personal therapist is your job as her friend." "What did you tell her?" "I told her that maybe she should ask herself why she needs so much emotional support from other people to maintain her relationship with Tyler." I laughed, despite myself. I bet she loved that. She hung up on me. Lily smiled wryly. "We're twins, but we've never been particularly close. Emma thinks I'm too blunt, and I think she's too dramatic. But watching how she's treated you has made me realize just how different we really are." "Different how?" Emma takes from people. "She's charming and fun and makes you feel special when she needs something from you, but it's always about what you can do for her. She doesn't really see other people as complete individuals with their own needs and feelings, and you. I try to give back what I receive, try to see people as whole human beings instead of just sources of whatever." Lily paused. "For instance, I can see that you're intelligent and kind and funny, and that you've been wasting all those qualities on someone who doesn't appreciate them." There was something in the way she said it that made me look at her more carefully. Lily wasn't just making conversation or offering friendly advice. She was seeing me as a person worth knowing, worth talking to, worth spending time with. It was such a contrast to how Emma had always viewed me that it felt almost disorienting. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Of course." "Why do you care?" "What happens to me?" "We barely know each other." Lily was quiet for a moment, seeming to choose her words carefully. "Because I've been watching you for over a year, seeing how you treat people, how you show up for others even when they don't deserve it. I've seen you be patient and kind and generous. And I've seen my sister take advantage of all those good qualities without giving you anything real in return. You've been watching me? At group gatherings, family events where Emma brought you along, places where we ended up in the same space. I kept wondering when you were going to realize that you deserved better than being someone's backup plan. And now? Now I'm wondering if maybe you'd like to find out what it feels like to be someone's first choice." The directness of the statement caught me completely off guard. Lily wasn't playing games or dropping hints or testing the waters. She was simply stating a possibility and letting me decide how to respond to it. "Are you asking me out?" "Asking if you'd like to spend time with someone who actually sees you as more than an emotional convenience store. Someone who would be grateful to have your attention instead of taking it for granted." I looked at Lily, really looked at her for maybe the first time. She had Emma's face, but everything else about her was completely different. Where Emma was carefully put together, Lily was naturally beautiful. Where Emma was always performing, Lily was simply being herself. Where Emma made me feel like I had to earn her attention, Lily was offering hers freely. What about Emma? What about her? Won't this complicate things? I mean, you're sisters. Emma made her choice when she decided to keep you as her backup plan while building her life with Tyler. Now you get to make yours. Lily stood up and gathered her things. "Think about it, Ryan, but don't take too long. Some of us know a good thing when we see it." She left her phone number written on a napkin and walked away, leaving me sitting alone with the strangest feeling that my entire life had just shifted into focus. 3 weeks into what I'd started thinking of as my new life, I called the number Lily had left on that napkin. We met for dinner at a small Italian restaurant in the Marina District, far enough from our usual haunts that we wouldn't accidentally run into Emma or any of our mutual friends. I'd expected the evening to feel weird or complicated, but instead it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Lily was nothing like Emma when it came to conversation. Where Emma always steered discussions back to herself, Lily asked genuine questions about my work, my goals, my thoughts on everything from current events to childhood memories. She listened to my answers with real interest, building on what I said instead of just waiting for her turn to talk. For the first time in years, I felt like someone was actually curious about who I was as a person. "Can I tell you something?" Lily said over dessert. "I've had a crush on you since that first time Emma brought you to our parents' house for Sunday dinner. That was like 18 months ago." I know. I kept waiting for Emma to realize what she had, but she was already too focused on Tyler to notice that she was treating you like garbage. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because you were completely devoted to my sister. You wouldn't have been interested in anyone else, and I wasn't going to compete with Emma for someone's attention. I'd rather be alone than be someone's consolation prize." The contrast with how Emma operated couldn't have been starker. Lily had feelings for me, but respected my choices and waited until I was emotionally available. Emma had kept me on the hook for years while knowing I wasn't actually an option for her. Our second date was a hiking trip to the coastal trails outside Portland. Lily had suggested it because she knew I loved being outdoors, something she'd remembered from casual conversations at group gatherings months earlier. We spent 6 hours walking through forests and along cliff tops, talking about everything and nothing. And I realized I hadn't thought about Emma or Tyler or relationship drama once the entire day. "This is nice," I said as we sat on a bench overlooking the ocean. "What is?" "Spending time with someone who doesn't need anything from me except my company." Lily turned to look at me. "Is that really how Emma made you feel? Like you were only valuable for what you could do for her?" Every conversation we ever had was about her problems or her feelings or her relationship. She never asked about my day unless she needed something. I became so used to being her emotional support system that I forgot people could actually just enjoy being around me. For the record, I enjoy being around you very much. And not because I need you to solve my problems or validate my feelings. I just like who you are. By our fourth date, I was completely smitten. Lily was smart without being condescending, funny without being cruel, beautiful without being vain. She had her own career as a graphic designer, her own apartment, her own group of friends who weren't connected to Emma's social circle. She was a complete person who wanted to share her life with someone, not someone who needed another person to complete her. The contrast with my relationship with Emma was so stark that I started wondering how I'd ever convinced myself that what Emma and I had was friendship. Emma had treated me like a service provider, someone who existed to meet her emotional needs when her primary relationship wasn't fulfilling them. Lily treated me like a partner, someone whose thoughts and feelings mattered as much as her own. Everything was going perfectly until Emma found out. I'd been careful not to post anything on social media, and I'd asked Lily to do the same. We both knew that Emma would lose her mind if she discovered that her backup plan had moved on with her twin sister. But Portland isn't that big a city, and after 6 weeks of dating, someone from our college friend group spotted us together at a farmer's market. Emma called me that night, and I could hear the hysteria in her voice before she even said hello. "Ryan, please tell me what Sophie saw today isn't true. Please tell me you're not dating my sister. Ma, I don't think this is really any of your business. Any of my business? Ryan, you've been my closest friend for over 2 years. Of course it's my business if you're suddenly dating my twin sister behind my back. I haven't been your closest friend, Emma. I've been your emotional support system. There's a difference. That's not fair. You know I care about you." You? Because caring about someone usually involves considering their feelings. And you never once considered how it felt for me to listen to you talk about Tyler for hours, while knowing that you'd never see me as anything more than a shoulder to cry on? I never asked you to have feelings for me. You knew I had feelings for you, and you used them to keep me available whenever you needed validation. There was a long pause. So what? You decided to get revenge by dating my sister? Decided to date someone who actually wants to be with me instead of someone who just wants to use me. Lily doesn't really care about you, Ryan. She's just doing this to get back at me. We've always been competitive with each other. Maybe you've always been competitive with her. But Lily has never once mentioned you when we're together. She's not dating me to spite you, Emma. She's dating me because she likes me. This is going to ruin everything. Our whole friend group, family gatherings, everything is going to be weird now. Only if you make it weird. How am I supposed to be okay with this? How am I supposed to watch my sister date the guy who was supposed to be my friend? The same way I was supposed to be okay watching you date Tyler while using me as your personal therapist. You figure out how to deal with your feelings without making them everyone else's problem. Emma hung up on me, but I knew this wasn't over. Emma had never had to compete with Lily for anything because Lily had never wanted anything Emma had. But now Lily had something that Emma had taken for granted, and Emma's competitive nature was going to kick into overdrive. Next morning, I had 17 missed calls and 12 voicemails from Emma. The messages started out angry, evolved into pleading, and ended with threats about how dating Lily would destroy any chance of maintaining our friendship. I was listening to the final voicemail when my phone rang with a call from Mason, our mutual friend from college. "Dude, what the hell's going on?" Emma called me crying at 6 in the morning saying you're dating Lily to hurt her. Hey! She wants me to organize some kind of intervention. An intervention for what? She says you're having some kind of breakdown? And making terrible decisions because you're angry about her and Tyler. She thinks if enough of our friends talk to you, you'll realize you're just acting out. Mason, I'm not acting out. I'm dating someone who treats me well. It shouldn't require an intervention. Look, I don't really understand all the drama, but Emma is completely losing it. She's talking about how you're the most important friendship in her life. How she can't lose you. How Lily is manipulating you to get back at her for some ancient sibling rivalry. Emma doesn't get to decide who I date, and she doesn't get to rewrite history about our friendship now that she's realized she might actually lose access to her emotional support system. Is that really what you think? That Emma was just using you? I know that's what Emma was doing. The question is whether she was doing it consciously or if she's really that oblivious to other people's feelings. That afternoon, Tyler called me. Tyler, who had barely acknowledged my existence for 2 years, was suddenly concerned enough about my well-being to reach out personally. "Hey man, Emma asked me to call you. She's really upset about this thing with her sister." "What thing with her sister?" "Come on, don't play dumb. She's freaking out about you dating Lily. She thinks you're doing it to get back at her or something." "No, Tyler, has Emma ever asked you to call one of her friends to discuss their dating lives before?" "Well, no, but this is different." "How is it different?" "Because you're not just some random friend. You're like Emma's person. Her go-to guy when she needs to talk through stuff." There it was. Even Tyler understood that my role in Emma's life was as her emotional support system, not her friend. "And you're okay with your girlfriend having a go-to guy who isn't you? I mean, it's always been obvious that you're not a threat. You're more like her gay best friend, except you're straight." The casual dismissal in his voice was actually helpful. Tyler had never seen me as competition, because Emma had made it clear that I wasn't an option. I was safe, neutered, permanently relegated to the friend zone. The idea that I might actually be desirable to someone else had never occurred to him because Emma had trained everyone to see me as her loyal sidekick, rather than as a complete person with my own romantic potential. Well, I'm not Emma's person anymore. I'm my own person. I'm choosing to date someone who sees me as more than just a convenient shoulder to cry on. Dude, you're really going to mess up a good thing over some misunderstanding about friendship? The only misunderstanding is Emma thinking she gets to control my life because I was stupid enough to let her treat me like an employee for 2 years. When Lily and I met for dinner that evening, she took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. "Emma found out," I said. "I figured she would eventually." "How bad was it?" "She's organizing an intervention. She got Tyler too." "Call me. She's telling everyone that you're manipulating me to get revenge on her." Lily nodded calmly. "And what do you think?" "I think Emma has never had to deal with not being the center of attention. And she's handling it exactly as poorly as you'd expect." "Are you having second thoughts? About us, I mean?" "Are you kidding? Being with you has made me realize how terrible my life was when it revolved around Emma's emotional needs. I'm not going back to that." "Good," Lily smiled. "Because I'm not letting you go without a fight. Emma had her chance with you and she chose to waste it. Now it's my turn, and I don't waste good things." But even as I said the words, I knew this was far from over. Emma wasn't going to give up easily, and she had 2 years' worth of emotional manipulation tactics to fall back on. The real test was still coming. The confrontation came 2 days later at Riverside Park, where Emma had asked to meet me for what she called one final conversation to clear the air. I should have known it was a setup when I arrived to find not just Emma, but Tyler, Mason, Sophie, and 3 other friends from our college group waiting for me. Emma stood in the center of the circle like she was conducting some kind of ceremony. Her eyes were red from crying, and she had that fragile, wounded look that had always been so effective at making me drop everything to comfort her. "Ryan, everyone here cares about you, and we're worried that you're making a huge mistake," she began, her voice trembling with practiced emotion. "Dating Lily isn't going to fix whatever you think is wrong between us. It's just going to destroy our friendship forever." "What friendship, Emma?" I looked around at the faces staring at me like I was some kind of mental patient. "The friendship where I listen to you complain about Tyler for hours but you never ask about my life? The friendship where I rearrange my schedule around your emotional crises but you forget my birthday? Or the friendship where you keep me around as backup emotional support while making it clear I'll never be anything more? It's not fair." Sophie interjected. "Emma talks about you all the time. She says you're one of the most important people in her life." "Important how? As a person she cares about or as a service she doesn't want to lose access to?" Tyler stepped forward, trying to look authoritative. "Look, man, we get that you have feelings for Emma, but dating her sister to make her jealous is pretty messed up. You think I'm dating Lily to make Emma jealous?" I started laughing, which clearly wasn't the reaction they'd expected. "Tyler, do you realize that in 2 years of knowing you, this is the longest conversation we've ever had? Do you know anything about me besides the fact that I'm Emma's emotional support friend? I know you're acting crazy right now. I'm acting sane for the first time in years. I'm dating someone who actually likes me, who wants to spend time with me, who sees me as a complete person instead of just a shoulder to cry on." The fact that you all think that's crazy says everything about how unhealthy this whole dynamic has been. Emma's carefully constructed vulnerability cracked, and her real anger started showing through. Hey, fine. You want honesty? Yes, I knew you had feelings for me. Yes, I kept you around anyway because you were useful. You were always available, always supportive, always willing to make me feel better about myself. But that doesn't mean I was using you. That's what friendship is. No, Emma, that's what exploitation is. Friendship involves caring about the other person's feelings, not just taking advantage of them. Do you think Lily cares about your feelings? She's doing this to hurt me, Ryan. She's always resented that I'm more popular, more successful, that I got the guy she wanted. What guy did Lily want that you got? Emma faltered for a second. Tyler, obviously. Lily never wanted Tyler. Lily wanted me. But I was too busy being your emotional slave to notice that someone actually good was interested in me. That's when Lily appeared, walking across the park toward our little intervention circle. She must have been waiting nearby, probably expecting something like this to happen. She looked completely calm and unbothered by the group of people, staring at her like she was a villain in their favorite television show. Am I interrupting something? She asked pleasantly. Actually, yes, Emma snapped. We're trying to talk Ryan out of the biggest mistake of his life. Which mistake is that? Dating someone who respects him? Dating someone who's using him to get revenge on her sister? Lily turned to look at me, and her expression was so warm and genuine that it made Emma's performance look even more obviously fake. Ryan, do you feel like I'm using you? The opposite, actually. For the first time in years, I feel like someone values me for who I am instead of what I can do. For them, there you have it. Lily turned back to Emma. I'm not dating Ryan to hurt you, Emma. I'm dating him because he's kind, intelligent, funny, and attractive, all the qualities you took for granted. This is ridiculous, Mason said. Ryan, you're destroying years of friendship over some girl. Some girl? Lily raised an eyebrow. I'm Emma's twin sister. You've known me just as long as you've known her, but you've never been part of the group, because Emma never invited me to be part of the group. She preferred having me as the sister who stayed in the background while she collected all the attention. Emma's face turned red. That's not true, isn't it? How many times have you introduced me to your friends as my twin sister Lily versus just Lily? How many times have you talked about my accomplishments the way you expect everyone to celebrate yours?
No.
The silence that followed was telling. I realized that even after knowing Emma for over 2 years, I knew almost nothing about Lily's life, her career, her interests, because Emma had never talked about her sister as a complete person. You know what the funniest part is? I said. Looking around at all these people who claimed to care about me, but had never bothered to notice that I was unhappy, none of you actually know me.
You know Emma's version of me?
The guy who exists to make her feel better, but you don't know. What I want, what makes me happy, what I dream about. Lily knows all of that because she bothered to ask. So that's it? Emma's voice was getting shrill. You're choosing her over all of us? Choosing myself over being your emotional support system? If that means losing friends who only valued me for what I could do for you, then they weren't really friends anyway. Emma looked around desperately, realizing that her intervention wasn't going according to plan. Fine. But don't come crawling back when you realize that Lily doesn't really care about you either. I won't, I said simply. Lily took my hand, and we walked away from the group together. As we left the park, I could hear Emma behind us, trying to rally everyone for another attempt at changing my mind, but the voices were getting fainter. How do you feel? Lily asked, when we reached her car. Free, I said. For the first time in years, I feel completely free. 6 months later, Emma and Tyler broke up. She called me twice, probably expecting me to resume my old role as her emotional support system, but I didn't answer. Jake told me she'd been asking mutual friends for my new number, but I'd changed it specifically to avoid situations like that. Lily and I moved in together after 8 months of dating. She met my parents, I met hers, and we started building the kind of relationship I'd never known was possible. A relationship where both people contribute equally, where both people's feelings matter, where nobody has to earn love by providing services. Sometimes I run into Emma at coffee shops or around town. She always looks surprised to see me happy, like she genuinely believed I couldn't function without being her backup plan. But I just smile and keep walking, holding hands with the woman who chose me first and never made me feel like I had to prove I was worth choosing. The best revenge against someone who treated you like their backup plan isn't getting revenge at all. It's finding someone who makes you their first choice and realizing you never should have settled for less. Dumbed. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. This one hit the mark. You won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.